Hey everyone, welcome back.
Yeah.
Ready for another deep dive.
Absolutely.
This time, we're looking at something pretty exciting. Actually, extended reality,
XR.
XR, exactly. How it's being used in all sorts of creative fields.
Yeah, it's really changing the landscape.
It really is. So, to help us unpack all this, we're turning to a presentation by Piotr Kotevsky.
Oh, from Comedia.
Yes. He's doing amazing things with visuals, games, you name it.
That presentation he gave at the Digit Kuresha program, what was it, November?
Yeah, November 25th, 2024.
That's the one.
It's a gold mine, honestly.
I know. It really got me thinking about, how Kotevsky starts way back at the beginning with cave paintings and storytelling.
Right.
It's like this urge to create. It's just part of being human,
Yeah. Yeah, like it's built into us.
Mm-hmm.
And technology just pushes it further.
Definitely.
Like Kotevsky, you mentioned the printing press. Suddenly, ideas could be everywhere.
Exactly. And then came film, photography.
That drive to capture reality.
Yeah, getting closer and closer to, really being there.
But it's even more than just capturing it, right?
Oh, absolutely. When you add an interactivity, that's when things get really interesting.
Okay, so how so?
Well, think about games, for example.
Okay.
You're not just passively watching a story unfold. You're in it. You're making choices that affect what happens.
You're part of it.
Exactly. That's huge. It
Yeah.
changes the whole experience.
Okay, so we've got this whole backdrop of how creativity has evolved over time.
Right.
But we still need to define what exactly XR is.
Yes, good point.
Kotevsky breaks it down into augmented reality, mixed reality.
And virtual reality.
Easy to get mixed up.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
So can you help us sort it all out?
Sure. Think of it as a kind of spectrum.
Okay.
You've got augmented reality, or AR, on one end. That's where you're taking digital stuff and layering it over the real world.
So like Pokemon Go.
Exactly. You're walking around your neighborhood, and suddenly there are Pokemon just hanging out.
So you're still in the real world, but with this added layer of,
Yeah,
well, anything really.
exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Then you move along the spectrum to mixed reality, or MR.
Oh, yeah.
And this is where things get even more blended.
Blended.
Yeah, like imagine interacting with holograms.
Oh, wow.
But they're not just floating there. They seem to actually occupy physical space,
Whoa.
responding to your touch, your voice.
That's pretty wild. So then virtual reality,
VR? Yep.
that's the full-on in another world experience.
Exactly. You put on the headset and you're transported somewhere else entirely.
Like ancient Rome or...
Fantastical landscape.
Yeah. And the lines get even blurrier between you being the audience.
And actually being a participant.
Wow.
You're not just experiencing it anymore.
You're inhabiting it.
Exactly.
Now, Kotevsky doesn't shy away from the challenges.
No, he doesn't.
He talks about creators having less control, how we still rely on kind of clunky hardware,
Mm-hmm.
and, that whole idea that virtual worlds can be isolating.
Yeah, there are definitely valid concerns there.
I think so, too.
With XR, you're giving the audience a lot of agency.
More than ever before.
Yeah, definitely. They're not just passively watching anymore.
That's true.
And that can be exciting, but also pretty daunting for creators.
So how do you tell a good story when you can't really control what the audience is going to do?
It's a big question, and there's no easy answer. I mean,
Right.
it's like you're not just building a world anymore.
No.
You're building a world and then giving the audience all these tools to explore it, maybe even change it in ways you hadn't thought of.
That's a great way to put it.
And it really changes the whole dynamic between the creator and the audience.
For sure.
And it has these, huge implications.
In what way?
It makes us rethink storytelling, art,
Wow.
even how we understand reality itself.
It's like a fundamental shift.
Yeah, I think so.
But for all those challenges,
Mm-hmm.
Kotevsky is so optimistic about the potential of XR,
Oh, yeah.
especially for creative fields.
Huge potential.
Like he talks about creating these really unique visual experiences,
Mhm. Right.
preserving historical sites, even,
Oh, yeah. Making museums way more engaging
and of course,
games.
yeah,
That's what we're seeing a lot of the early innovation happening, I think.
makes sense.
But just think about, what if you could reconstruct a Roman theater
Whoa,
and let people experience it like they were actually there?
you mean like thousands of years ago?
Yeah.
Did he actually have examples like that?
Oh, yeah. He got really specific,
Wow.
talking about how you could use AR to bring historical artifacts to life.
So instead of just looking at them in a museum,
Right. Behind glass.
you could hold them?
Yeah, virtually examine them, rotate them.
That's amazing. Like a time traveler.
It is.
Okay, but where are we really at with XR right now?
That's the big question.
Is it just for tech enthusiasts and gamers.
I think Kontovsky had a really interesting observation about that, actually.
Oh, yeah.
He said we're still in this early phase
Okay.
where the novelty factor is a big draw.
I can see that.
And a lot of the focus is on productivity tools,
Right.
not so much entertainment yet.
I guess that makes sense, though.
Yeah, I think it always takes a while for any new technology
To really find its place in entertainment.
Right, exactly.
Like, look at movies. It took decades to go from those silent films
Yeah,
to the blockbusters we have today.
totally.
XR is probably on a similar trajectory.
Probably. But even now, the creative possibilities are kind of mind-blowing.
In what way?
Well, Kotevsky was talking about a future where we move beyond controllers.
Oh, wow.
You know, those clunky things, and
Yeah.
we start using our hands,
Just our hands.
our eyes, even our whole body to interact.
But these virtual worlds?
Yeah. He calls it a mini interface.
A mini interface.
It's so seamless, it practically disappears.
So instead of, like, waving a controller around,
Mm-hmm.
you can just reach out and touch something in the virtual world.
Potentially, yeah.
So it's wild.
Imagine. You could control a paintbrush with just tiny hand movements. Conduct a whole orchestra of holograms like you're composing music.
That's incredible.
The potential for creative expression is just enormous.
It's like stepping into a science fiction novel or something.
I know, right?
Okay, but this is all pretty theoretical, right?
Well, to show it's not just pie in the sky,
Okay.
Kotevsky actually showcases some real XR projects that are out there.
Like what?
He mentions a mobile phone AR app.
Cool. What does it do?
He doesn't really get into the specifics in this presentation,
Oh. Well,
but he does go into a lot of detail about a VR experience designed for the Oculus Quest 2.
okay, I've heard of that.
It's pretty amazing, actually.
What is it?
It's the virtual reconstruction of a 2nd century Roman theater,
Wow.
and he even hinted that people who were attending his presentation might be able to try it out.
Oh, wow.
Imagine that!
Actually be in that theater
Yeah.
to, like, get a sense of the scale, the architecture.
Like a time machine.
Exactly. That's what's so powerful about XR, I think. It gives us this access to experiences that would be impossible otherwise.
Totally.
Okay, we've covered a lot.
We have.
If our listener had to take away one big idea about XR,
That's a good question.
what would it be?
I think it's that XR is this powerful new tool for creative expression.
Okay.
But it's not like a magic solution to everything.
Right.
It really demands that creators think differently about how they approach storytelling,
House.
how they engage their audience,
Okay.
even what reality really means.
It's like rewriting the rules of creativity.
Yeah.
And we're still in the early stages.
Right, like the first few chapters of the story.
Which makes it so exciting.
Absolutely.
Because who knows what we'll be able to create as the technology evolves.
Possibilities are endless.
It really makes you wonder, like, what's going to be the thing, the killer app for XR?
You know, the thing that really brings it to everyone.
Exactly. Like, what will make it mainstream?
I don't think it'll be just one thing.
No.
I think it'll be more like this gradual evolution. Okay.
With creators just constantly pushing the boundaries.
Finding new ways to do things.
Yeah, finding new ways to tell story,
To build those worlds.
to engage our senses.
And maybe even change how we connect with each other.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Because, you know, even though there are those concerns about virtual worlds and isolation, XR could also be this amazing tool.
To bring people together.
Exactly.
Think about it. Attending a concert with friends who are, like, all over the world.
Oh, wow.
Or working on a creative project together.
In a shared virtual space.
Yeah.
Or even just hanging out in a virtual park, feeling the breeze, listening to the birds.
Even if you're miles apart in the real world.
Yeah.
It's really about expanding what connection can even mean.
That's a really cool way to think about it.
I think so.
So for our listener out there who's maybe feeling inspired,
Right.
where should they even start?
Well, first of all, there are a ton of resources online.
Just a simple search for, like, XR creative applications will give you a good starting point.
Okay, so just start exploring.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to actually try things out.
Like what?
Download an AR app, see what those are like.
Okay.
Check out some VR experiences. Even on YouTube, you can find those 360-degree videos.
Right.
Just to get a taste of it.
It's all about being curious.
Exactly. Approach it with an open mind.
Think about how this could affect, your own work, your hobbies,
Even your relationships.
because this is bigger than just some new technology, right?
It is. It's about the future of how we experience the world.
It's pretty profound when you think about it like that,
It is.
pushing the limits of what we can imagine.
And creating whole new realities that we can share with each other.
Who knows? Maybe one day we'll be recording this deep dive
From a virtual studio.
on Mars.
Now that's a deep dive I'd sign up for.
Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning.
And keep creating.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.